Hey everyone, welcome to our little virtual rehearsal together. I'm grateful that you are tuning into this on YouTube, and hopefully this will help you in preparing for recording your part for the virtual choir. Obviously, it would be so much better if we were rehearsing in person tonight. It would be even more of a blessing to be able to present a piece together in worship this Sunday. But here we are again, just in a very tricky spot. So thank you so much for your flexibility and for your willingness to pivot and try something a little bit different. Some of you have done these virtual choirs before, and believe it or not, they are fun, and it's fun to learn a song in this way and really get your part down and then submit it and kind of go, well, that can't be that great. It's just me. And, I think my pitch was a little off here. And I think that I didn't get this rhythm quite right. Oh man, I can never get it perfect. And then you see the end result with all of our imperfect voices and our imperfect performances all brought together. And it makes something beautiful, which if you think about it, in actuality, that's what we do every time we come together in an in-person choir. It's all of us bringing our very best, and yet still our limited human voice, and something magnificent happens when we all sing together. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun. And I also, like I mentioned in one of my messages to you all, it's a huge encouragement to the congregation when our lives are feeling a little unstable and things are feeling uncertain. Having things like our choir up on a screen even provides folks with some level of normalcy and stability to be able to hear the choir that they so love. So thank you, and thank you for using your God-given gifts to glorify God. And I'm looking forward to what we put together together. All right, so we're doing the piece, Come to the Mountain, and hopefully you've been able to access the files that I sent you. Within that Drive document, the Google Drive document that I sent out to you, you'll be able to look at the sheet music, which I sent out a while back, to Come to the Mountain, so that you can follow along with that as you practice, and then also have it in front of you as you sing for your recording. So that's in there. Then also you can listen to a recording of the whole piece with the whole orchestration and all the choir parts all evenly mixed. And then finally in there is a part predominant recording, soprano, alto, tenor, bass, that highlights your specific part. So you can sing along with that as you practice, but that's also the exact same file that you'll listen to as you record your virtual choir. I've sent out to you some instructional videos from Jenna, too, that are saying generally the same thing. It's just teaching you how to set up to be able to do your virtual choir recording. And then there's another one that she also put together about how to send that recording once you have recorded it via Google Drive. So you want to review those videos, and in it you'll hear some of the things that I'm going to talk about will be repeated again, but it's always good to have that repetition to make sure that we're all on the same page. So yeah, when it comes to recording your piece, the part predominant one, you find your voice part, soprano, alto, tenor, bass. Listen to that over and over and over again. Sing along with it over and over and over again. Then when it comes time to record, that's the same thing you're going to listen to and sing along with. You're going to hear at the very beginning of it, it's my voice. It's going to say 1, 2, 3, clap. And you're going to literally clap just like that. Make sure we can see your clap. Make sure we can hear your clap. Make sure your clap is in time with my clap, because that's how then Jenna, when she edits it, finds out where everybody's video officially starts. Jenna's texting me right now about how to do all that, actually. So I'm getting text messages as I record this from her. She's getting all ready for your submissions. So you can do that anytime between now and Sunday, August 29th. And that gives you hopefully plenty of time, just like if we were learning this piece together, tonight and then at home as you'd practice, and then you'd come and you'd perform or present the piece in church. It's the same idea. Instead of performing or presenting it in front of the church, you're just going to do it in front of your video recording device, and from there send it in to Jenna. So make sure you get the clap in right at the beginning, aligned with mine, so then Jenna knows how to align your singing with everybody else's singing, and then with the accompaniment parts that we have the recordings for. So this one's a little trickier to record as a virtual choir because there's more sections that are sort of rubato. They change tempo just slightly. You'll notice at bar 5, for example, we have a ritardando. Things slow down a little bit, and then there's, in this first several bars, there's time signature changes. So you really want to listen to this recording, your part predominant recording, over and over, like I said, because, by the way, you can probably hear a plane flying over. That's a good example of something you don't want to have in your recording when you send it over to Jenna. But we'll ignore it because this is just our little practice time. But you'll notice at the beginning, we have all these time signature changes and tempo changes. And so you really want to get ingrained in you, kind of in your heart, and feel it in the way that you practice, of when you're going to come in with this first note. If you hunger, and so on. You want to be ready to go and come in on if right at the right time. Once you're in, it's not too bad. There are a couple other entry points that are kind of tricky, especially towards the end with the B, med, whole, that whole business that comes the last couple of pages, 14 and 15. Those entrances are a little trickier. You're going to really want to tune into what you hear. Ordinarily, I'd say go with what you see and not with what you hear, but the conducting that you're going to see from me, it's not perfection, because I'm going along with the recording that I have. So use my conducting just as a guide and as an aid, as a reminder to look up and kind of make eye contact with the video recording device that you're using. But in terms of aligning your timing and your rhythm, I would recommend just really having set in your soul the recording, and make sure that you're singing along with what you hear. You don't want to be reactive, but still, to the best of your ability, sing along with those voices that you hear on the recording. You'll also want to align not only rhythmically with what you hear on the recording, but dynamically as well. This choir, this recording choir that they put in, that Lifeway, who's the publisher, put together, they did a great job. It's a really stellar sounding choir. So go along with them. When you hear them crescendoing or decrescendoing, follow suit. Listen to how they do the cutoffs, and make sure that where the cutoffs need to be clear and strong and powerful, versus where they need to be a little lighter on the touch. Listen to those sorts of things and follow suit, and then we'll all be aligned with the same guide. All right, so those are a couple different notes. You'll notice that there's a pattern to this. The very beginning of this if you hunger, if you thirst, as we go through that, it's kind of a verse of sorts. It's kind of the first stanza of the song. And then when we get to bar 15, we do the kind of a first time through of a chorus or a refrain to this hymn-like piece that we have here. Come to the mountain, stand in his presence, and so on. That's kind of your first and quieter refrain. Then we have our key signature change going into 24, and we do our second verse or second stanza of the song. And then we do our second refrain, come to the mountain, bar 34. And that's louder. It's forte in particular, and that's where the kind of the orchestra and all these parts really start to come in, and we settle in with the drums and all of that, and sing out. Feel free to sing out in that chorus, and then we decrescendo at the end of that, and we have this bridge or this kind of alternate this third theme, come and rest your souls. We want to make sure that that timing there, we've done it a little bit differently, I think, in the past. Perhaps we've maybe done come and rest your souls. We want to do come and rest your soul. And then the tenors and basses, come and be made whole. Be made whole. That same rhythm's repeated each time. The dotted eighth and into the 16th that's tied. Just make sure that those are precise and that they're comfortable and that we're doing them aligned with the recording once again, with the rhythm. And then that crescendos, and here we are, we're doing the same second theme, that refrain chorus theme at bar 49, and it's glorious, and we want to leave a little bit of space dynamically to grow as we repeat that theme once again. Come to the mountain. And that time, this fortissimo version of it, it's even stronger, and yet it's a little bit different. So make sure when you get to that you're prepared on your part. Sopranos and altos, you split into three, so choose whether or not it's typically soprano, second soprano, and then altos is the way it's broken down. And I think that's how it's broken down once you get into your part predominant recordings that you listen to. But you want to double check that and make sure that your part's represented and that you're able to sing it nice and strong. And then worship the Father is all unison. He is mighty and gloria. And when you get to gloria, that's what you want to do. You don't want to cut to the S until the time is right. And that's right at bar 66. We have mighty and glorious. We're going to hold that for 2 whole bars, 64 and 65. Right, this is the sustained chord. That once again is threes, and for you tenors and basses, it also is tenor 1, tenor 2, and bass. It may be set up bass, baritone, tenor, so listen for that too. Just go once again with what you hear on the part predominant. And tenors, if you're ordinarily a 2, you'll go down to that D flat. He is mighty and glorious, and you stay on that note. He is mighty and glorious. Tenor 1s, you go up to that. And then basses. He is mighty and gloria. And you hold 2, 3, 4, and you cut off with the S on 1. Us. And make sure that that's really clean and crisp. And then we have this final theme of come, drink from the fountain. And we don't want to, when we do the fountain, the fountain, we don't want the fountain. We want it to be legato, and we also don't want it to be so, broken up. From the fountain, and then sopranos, altos, come to the mountain. Same one on that one, mountain. Then you guys split here, sopranos and altos. So we have this interchange between the treble singers and the bass singers, where we go back and forth with one another. And we want to make sure that we come in, we ease our way in, but we're confident as we come into our part. And then we come off, we ease our way out, but we're also confident in making sure that our cutoffs are right at the correct spot. So make sure, and especially these, come drink from those NKs, right? And both sides will do that. Make sure that those are clean on beat 4 so that everything fits together nicely and we don't have a going on because those are really hard to edit out. So we want to make sure that those are all together. And then we have these B med. And on the word med, notice how I said that. Not made with a really clear diphthong of A. We want med, M-E-H-D. B med, oh, and we want to put the H behind that and then stick to the O, keep it nice and tall, whole, and then we cut those off. Again, as I mentioned earlier, those are kind of the trickier parts, the very beginning of the piece and the very end in terms of alignment. So we want to have it really ingrained in us, be clear on when it's time to cut off, listen very well, count in your head. We never outgrow counting. And then especially when we have this key change, essentially, where we go from this G flat chord really quite cool. It kind of settles in. We just got back from Disneyland. That sounds like a Disneyland chord that would be at the end of a ride, like a future Tomorrowland ride or something. I don't know. I'm still on vacation in my mind. Anyway, so when we go to these B-made holes, these B-made, it's also very dissonant. So stick to your part. Don't get thrown off by the other parts, and then we cut off and we go to these notes. Let's just listen to that really quick. So basses are going to keep us anchored. Because basses, you're on a C natural. I'm just double checking that I'm not forgetting any flats here. You're on a C natural for the word made, and then you cut off, and then it's whole, and you're on the same note. Tenors, it's a little funky. You're here. You have this kind of going. And then it's whole. So what you're doing, tenors. Practice that. If you have a keyboard and you know where a D flat is to a D, just hit it and make sure that you've got it ingrained in you. And then sopranos, you, like the basses, have it simple. You're on this C with them and you're going to stay there. The tenors do this. Altos, just as the tenors went up a half step, you're going down. So we go from this, 2, 3, 4. It's quite a nice ending. And then we have this. And it does it, repeats it a couple times, and then it's all over. You want to cut off the L of whole. We go to O. Don't get to the L too early. Sing O until it's right, the perfect time for you to sing that L. And it's on that last beat, essentially, the first beat of the last measure. So it goes. Right? We're not saying la, but that's where the L would be. So, and it doesn't have to be a strong L. It can be quite light, especially because the orchestration has the pianissimo, I think is how you probably say it. There's some isses in there, is all you need to know because it's very quiet. Okay, so that's the piece. I just wanted to talk you through the overall flow, also give you some notes about how best to think about recording, and then I'll obviously start off with some thoughts there, just encouraging you that what we're doing here really matters. It's really helpful and brings hope to people. So thank you for doing it. If you have questions as you're working through and you're curious about, well, how do we do this cutoff, or dynamically, what are we going for here? I can't quite tell from the recording, or any other questions that you might have. How do we pronounce this? You know, those sorts of things. Let me know. And I'd be happy to help you. Just send me a note on email. I will say the basic tricks of the trade that come to choral singing, just as they apply in an in-person choir, they apply to a virtual choir too. Tall vowels, crisp consonants, lots of air. You can leave notes unsung, my friends, even though it'll feel very odd as you're not surrounded by other people singing your same part, where you can know if I breathe on this note instead of sing that note, somebody else has my back. Well, you can be sure that somebody else will have your back. You're just not going to hear them as you're playing. So imagine that in your head as you are singing, that you are actually surrounded by your choral friends. Make it a sweeter experience anyway. And feel free to leave notes unsung in order to breathe more often. That's the nature of ensemble. You don't have to be anybody's hero. So if you're in the middle of one of those, the last chord, for example, whole, that's 1, 2, 3 measures worth of whole notes that you're holding on whole. You will probably have to breathe if you are an average human being like me. So you'll go ha, ha. And you continue to sing that O. Come off on O, return on O, and then cut off when the time comes. So same principles. Tall vowels, crisp consonants, breathe more often than you think you might need to. Bright eyes, be mindful especially of your facial expressions, these sorts of things. And make sure you know your parts going into it. And the beauty of it is you have as many takes as you want. So you can listen to this over and over and over, feel great about it, record it, go, I'm not too pleased with that. There are a couple things I'd like to try to maybe do differently. Well, save that first recording and do another one. And if you want to do one more, you can. Don't go crazy. Don't be a perfectionist because you'll never be pleased, but do it to the best of your ability and it will come off great. Once you're done and you've recorded and you've submitted, there's a good chance that you're going to go, I don't know if that was really that great. And you're going to feel a little maybe discouraged. I just encourage you to reframe that discouragement and remind yourself that you are one part of a bigger whole, that there's going to be a greater group of people that are all going to bring all of our imperfect voices, and we're going to create something beautiful from it. So don't let yourself get too discouraged. You're just contributing the gifts that you can to the best of your abilities, and that is just fine, believe me. Alrighty, thank you all for doing this. If you have any questions, I'm an email away. God bless you as you put this together. It'll air Sunday, September 12th, and don't forget, it's due to submit this Sunday. Take care. God bless you. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.